What if influencer marketing became your best way to grow in 2026 and your competitors couldn't copy it? You didn't need a big brand. You didn't need to create a single piece of content. You did not need to rely on Google or Meta ads. That's actually what influencer marketing looks like when you do it right. The problem is most companies try it once and completely mess it up. They pick creators based on follower count, they pay whatever rate they're quoted, and they have no way to track if any of it actually worked. So they give up and go back to paid ads, get more expensive every single year. I spent the last 12 months scaling influencer campaigns across thousands of creators. I've done everything from $50 micro influencers to six-figure monthly budgets. For that, I ran product for Beyonce and built a company backed by Snapchat that grew entirely through influencer marketing. And I can tell you confidently that most companies aren't failing because influencer marketing doesn't work. They're failing because they're following outdated strategies. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through the exact 8-step process from finding your first creators to scaling what works, how to negotiate rates so you're not overpaying, how to actually pick talent based on data, and how to track results so you know exactly what's working. Whether you've never run a campaign before or you tried once and gave up, by the end of this video, you'll have everything you need to start today. This is the biggest marketing opportunity for almost every single company in 2026. It's not a secret. People buy from other people, not corporations. Your customers are consuming content 7 days a week. Think about it. When's the last time you went a day without consuming some type of content? The next generation of discovery is literally being defined right now. There's a ton of talk about the AI search opportunity, and rightfully so, but AI search pulls from video content. YouTube is a top referrer to ChatGPT and almost all of the leading models. So if you want to show up in AI search, you actually should show up in video first. Meanwhile, paid ads just keep getting more expensive. You find your best customers first, and then your CAC starts to rise. There's a graveyard of companies who thought they would just buy ads and grow profitably. But the real change is trust. People scroll past ads, but when a creator they love recommends something, they actually listen. This is already working. It's not hypothetical. Suno scaled to $200 million in annual revenue with a creator-driven strategy. Gamma hit 100 million ARR using over 1,000 micro-influencers. And these are just two examples of companies printing money by understanding the value of creators. You're not buying attention here, you're buying trust. But before you reach out to a single creator, you need a few things in place. So if you skip this next part, you'll be sure to waste a bunch of time and money. First, let me tell you why most companies fail at this. They treat it like a lottery ticket instead of an actual channel to build. Pick a few creators, pay them, cross your fingers, and then move on. When it doesn't immediately work, they conclude the whole channel is broken. It's kind of like running one Facebook ad, seeing it flop, and then deciding paid doesn't work. Companies that win treat this as a system. They test, they find winners, they double down, and they repeat. You go in expecting a lottery ticket, you're going to be disappointed. You go in expecting to build a channel over 90 days, you'll learn what actually works for your business. Get clear on who you're targeting. You can't find the right creators until you know who you're trying to reach. So start with your ideal customer profile. What are their interests? What are their behaviors? Where do they spend time online? For early stage companies, this might be a hypothesis. You need a starting point. Otherwise, you're just guessing. Set realistic budget expectations. Here's where most people set themselves up for failure. Your first 60 to 90 days are about learning. You're figuring out which creators work for your audience. You're figuring out which content formats resonate. You're building the system to track what's actually working. If you expect to be profitable in month one, you'll probably quit too early. Companies can be ROI positive in month one, but it does take about 90 days to do a full cycle to really get this channel cranking as the #1 growth driver in a company. Let me give you some specific numbers on budget. So I'll give you a couple ideas on different approaches to build a mental model of how to approach this question. You have your long tail approach, think more creators at lower price points, maybe 10 creators at $500 each, giving you 10 shots on goal. And this approach can be better for testing and learning quickly. You have your big bet approach, think fewer creators, bigger investments, but maybe that one creator at $5,000 actually outperforms the 10 at $500. It can be higher risk, but also higher potential reward. What I usually recommend is a hybrid approach. Anchor with a couple bigger names, surround them with a long tail of talent. This gives you reach plus volume for testing. Budget ramp up. So here's what this looks like from starting to scaling. The target starting creator budget should be about $5K to $10K a month as you launch the initial cohorts of creators and start to identify winners. Once you show ROI, you could start to scale your program. For venture-backed companies, you can learn quicker by deploying more capital. If you've raised money and are trying to unlock growth, it's actually better to start with 10K to 20K per month, especially in competitive markets where there's not an unlimited amount of creators. Think about it. Even if there are a few hundred to a few thousand amazing creators in your niche, if they do exclusive deals with your competitor, you're out of luck. I've seen this happen more than once. And if you have well-funded competitors, which most categories do, can you actually afford to spend less if you have the capital available? Infrastructure you need. Before spending $1, set this up. A landing page or a destination for traffic. This could be your normal homepage or a custom landing page with a specific call to action. It's super common to build lead magnets as a destination to send traffic, where you capture an email in exchange for a guide or some type of walkthrough. Tracking links, tinyurl, bit.ly, really any tool to spin up short links with a custom branded domain. The custom domain matters a lot. It keeps everything cohesive throughout the campaign. Post-click analytics. These are the basics of running a business, but are extremely important when running creator campaigns. Track your traffic with Google Analytics or Fathom, AppsFlyer if you're driving mobile installs, track your cohorts in an analytics tool like Mixpanel. Make sure to track your revenue in Stripe. Content briefs. Use Notion or some similar tool to create briefs that can easily be shared and edited with creators. Creator tracking. Google Sheets for tracking creator rates, metrics, and performance. I cannot stress this enough. If you skip this tracking setup, you will not be able to tell what worked. You'll spend money, maybe see some results, but you'll actually have no idea which creator drove them and conclude the channel doesn't work. I see this all the time. All right. Let's get into the actual process. I'm going to walk you through each step, show you the mistakes to avoid, and show you exactly where to focus. This walkthrough is going to focus on the core fundamentals of running a good influencer campaign. There are different ways to do this, using virtual assistants, using AI, and using a range of other tools to automate and enhance this process. But it's super important that you understand the foundational steps and how to do this in a manual way before trying to do any automation or outsourcing. The focus for this video is on providing this foundational knowledge for you to be successful. Step 1, locking your ICP. You need to get really specific on who you're targeting, their interests, their behaviors, where they spend time online. This literally determines everything else. Which creators, which platforms, what content. This should take a few hours tops, definitely not a full week, and make sure you write it down. So if you have an existing customer base, actually go look at your cohorts to understand who your best customers are and start from there. If you're a brand new startup, brainstorm who you think the core customer is for your product and start from there. For this video, we're doing a campaign for a startup whose product is an AI filmmaking tool. Storyboard, script, image generation, video generation, post-production, all in one product. Since this is a new company, we have a hypothesis around 3 core personas of who we think the buyer will be. You need to have a point of view on who they are and the problem you solve for them. So for this campaign, our 3 personas are the solo creator, the indie filmmaker, and the agency creative. Locking in the ICP is a critical first step in this process. Step 2. Find creators on the platforms. This is where most people make their first big mistake. They start with an existing database or SaaS tool. Every influencer tool advertises millions of creators in their database. Those databases are static and the platforms are dynamic. The creator who's crushing it this month might not actually be in any database yet. The creators who are in the databases are often there because they need to be. So here's what to do instead. Okay, so let's actually go find some creators on Instagram. And the process I'm going to walk through here, a version of this can be applied to basically any network where creators operate. And I'll do some deeper dives on the different networks in the future, but this will give you a sense of how to find and evaluate creators on Instagram. So the first thing we're going to do is to take those ICPs that we have and actually generate a list of keywords for each ICP that can help us find related content on Instagram. So the important thing to note is that ChatGPT, these AI tools are not hooked up to Instagram data, so it'll give you a directional starting point, but it's not perfect, and it's really important for you to kind of evaluate the results of each keyword to determine, does this make sense for what we're trying to accomplish? So I'm just gonna go to my phone though as a starting point. I'm gonna go to ChatGPT, and I'm gonna search, give me a list of keywords to search on Instagram to find reels related to AI filmmaking. So I'm doing kind of a general query here, and then I'll go back and do very specific, more narrow queries for each ICP. But this one kind of covers the broad strokes of what the product does and is often the right starting point. So I'll then take these terms, make sure I save them in Google Sheets to reference them later. And let's pick the first one and see what we come up with. So the first term is AI filmmaking. We're going to jump over to Instagram and search AI filmmaking. And we want to look at the For You results, because really we're looking for the best performing reels and then the creators associated with them. So let's just go ahead and look at the first video. 313,000 views, over 7,000 comments. This performed very well. I'll generally look at a lot of the comments also just to get a sense of, like, is there engagement? Is it authentic? Do people really care about this person and this creator? So the comments look pretty good there. Let's look at the profile. And here I'm kind of looking at the avatar, the bio, the links they have, and getting a sense for like who they are. Are they somebody I want to work with? Do they represent the brand well? Are they a potential partner for this campaign? So this person says, their bio says AI design and AI automation, which isn't exactly AI film, but it's adjacent. And looking at the content, it is a lot of film related content. And so now I'm going to look through and kind of get a sense for how their reels perform. Obviously, they had that one really great one, which is how we found them. But yeah, you can see their reels generally perform really well, really great, consistent view counts. And they have an email that I can access here. So I would say this is a great creator I want to flag for further investigation. So as I'm going through this, I'm just putting the creators I see into a spreadsheet, very simply their username, their Instagram link, their email if available, and then maybe any notes I have about something I liked about their content or something to reference later. And so as I just go through, I'm just looking at different reels and then different creators and kind of building this list and building this list. So let's look at one more. Let's try this reel here. This guy's talking about an AI video workflow. Let's look at his profile. AI powered visuals creator. Yep, so he's very on brand. And the view counts are pretty low in a lot of cases. He has some outliers, 151,000 views and then 8,000 views. So a little bit inconsistency in views, but he's still on brand and is speaking to an AI video audience. So I'm going to keep going through and try and build a list of 50, 100, a couple hundred creators as a foundation for what comes next. So you need to build your list directly from the platforms. Go to YouTube, go to X, go to LinkedIn, go to TikTok, search for the content that your customers are actually watching and build your list from there. The key insight is that these algorithms will tell you who's actually winning right now. So I spent some time going through the first keyword, and let's actually look at what that list looks like that comes out of that process. Okay, so after scrolling Instagram for the AI filmmaking keyword, the artifact that comes out of that process is a spreadsheet that looks like this, where I flagged all of the creators that I think are a good fit for this campaign. This spreadsheet has just kind of a baseline level of information about each creator. So their username, their URL, their followers, their email, and then some notes that I wrote. The notes portion is really important because I'm going to use that to personalize email outreach and really express to the creator why I thought they were a good fit and what I liked about their videos. So this one keyword produced about 50 creators. And this number is actually a little low for doing a real campaign. This is just for the purposes of this video. Really, you want to aim for 1,000 creators, maybe more if possible. And so, like I mentioned, you want to kind of use anywhere from 10 to 20 keywords until you're able to build a list of about 1,000 creators. So now we have this list of good fit creators. We have their email addresses. Now we're going to actually reach out to all of them and invite them to be part of our campaign. Step 3, outreach at volume. Here's where most companies get it completely wrong because they're thinking way too small. They reach out to 20 creators, they get 5 responses, pick 2, and they call it a day. That's not enough volume to learn anything. So let me show you how to think about this in reaching out to creators at scale. Okay, so I've taken our list of creators and uploaded it to SmartLead, which is the email outreach tool that I use. There are lots of great tools, including Instantly. You can use Gmail. I think this specific tool is way less important than having the right psychology to run a successful outreach campaign. So let me walk you through a little bit of the copy and how to think about doing outreach. So you want to keep your emails very short and very to the point. And really, you want to invite a creator to opt in to learning more about the campaign. So if I look at the first email I'm sending in this sequence, it says, hey, your reel popped up on my feed and I wanted to reach out. I run partnerships at Arrow. We're building a new way for creators to make video using AI. Can I share a creative brief that highlights the different ways we can collab? Thanks. So really simple, tells a creator who we are and gives them an opportunity to ask for more information about the campaign. You'll notice I'm using here a merge tag, which is actually just pulling from the notes column that I wrote in my spreadsheet to actually make the email personalized. So for this creator, the personalization note says, really cool to see AI used to build out a full cinematic environment like that. I will then follow up with a second email in this sequence if they do not respond and say, hey, just wanted to make sure this was on your radar. I think this is an amazing fit and would love to tell you more. And if they don't respond to that, I send a final third email in the sequence. Hey, the campaign is coming together quickly and just wanted to make sure you got to look at the opportunity. Happy to send more details if this is interesting to you. And so I think this 3 email sequence is really important because I actually see the majority of responses come on the second and third email. It's a huge mistake to just send one email and forget about it because you'll really decrease your chances of success. Let's take the case where the creator does reply to this first email, and I'll kind of walk through what that response looks like and the content brief that we share to really brief them on the campaign. So when a creator responds positively to your email showing interest, you want to send them a more detailed creative brief outlining what your company does, who you are, what your mission is, and some high-level campaign details. This is not about getting into the weeds on what content should be created. This is really just to give them an opportunity to learn more about you and see if there's a good mutual fit to work together. So there's different flavors of this, but you want to show kind of a high level of who you are. Maybe you include a product demo. You could talk a little bit about how and why you're partnering with creators. What are your goals? Why are you doing this? And then you just want to give a sense of deliverables also. So what do you want from them? Do you want them to make a video? Do you want them to do something else? Make sure you address compensation, so you're on the same page going in of what compensation looks like. Here, you don't want to get into specific numbers. You just want to let them know that, hey, this is a paid activation. Let's negotiate and figure out how we can work together. And then you want to give a high level of next steps and what that looks like also, so they can have a sense of, if they do agree, what are the milestones along the way to go from this first conversation to a post is live in the world. So when you're sending this volume of emails where the baseline is 1,000, but in many cases it'll be a lot more, you got to really consider your email infrastructure. And maybe the most important thing to consider is not using your root domain for your website. It's very easy to get flagged and mess up your DNS. And so what you want to do is create brand new inboxes that are related to your domain. So maybe it's, in this case, the company's name is Arrow. Maybe it's arrowcreators.com or arrowpartnerships.com, and actually send your emails from those email addresses. So it's super on brand. It feels cohesive, but there's no risk to actually nuking your core root domain. So you want to target at least a 30% response rate. So if you send out 1,000 emails, you should get 300 responses back. And I know what you're thinking. That's a lot of emails. But this is actually how you build leverage. When you're talking to hundreds of creators, you're not desperate. You have options. This really matters for the next step. Step 4, collect rates and negotiate. So the campaign is live, creators have started to respond, and you need to ask them to understand, what are the rates? What do they charge for the different deliverables they offer? So in this case, we want to know what they charge for an Instagram reel, but that's the starting point. We want to know, do you charge extra for stories? What does it cost to cross-post to TikTok or other platforms? You want to gather all of this deliverable and rate information to really understand what the opportunity is with this creator. Here's what most companies don't realize. Creators expect you to negotiate. They quote hide knowing you'll counter. Most companies just pay the first number and actually overpay by 40 to 50%. When you're talking to hundreds of creators, you can negotiate from a position of strength. You're not relying on any single creator saying yes. And this makes all the difference. Step 5, pick your first cohort. So now you have rates and data on a bunch of creators. It's time to pick who to actually work with. If you do it right, you'll almost always have more creators in your network than you're actually ready to work with at any given time. So you have to narrow it down. Here's mistake number 2 I see constantly: sorting by follower count. Follower count tells you basically nothing. What you actually want to look at is recent video performance. So let me show you how to think about this. Okay, so let's dive into evaluating the creator's recent video performance. So I'm going to go ahead and just take the top creator here from our sheet. They're asking for $1,000 for a reel. And I'm going to go ahead and click over into their Instagram page here and go to the Reels tab. So the first thing I'm going to do on the Reels tab is actually just look at aesthetically what type of content are they making. Give it a vibe check. I did this already during the initial evaluation phase, but now that I have pricing on them, now that I'm gathering more quantitative data, I think it's important to kind of revisit the type of content they're making as well, and just ensure there is a brand fit here and that they're actually speaking to the audience that we want to reach. So you can see with this creator, they are producing content for people making videos. They're getting pretty consistent views, and I think the vibe check is definitely passed here. So when thinking a little bit more about the quantitative analysis, there's really 3 things you want to establish to evaluate a creator. You want to establish the median views, you want to establish the CPM, you want to establish the outlier rate. So let's talk through each of those in a bit more detail. When you talk about the median views, you need to understand what normal looks like for this creator. People often think the best way to do that is just to average all the videos, but actually average can mislead you because many creators, because of their pin videos or running ads against certain videos, get crazy high view counts that aren't really in line with the rest of their work, and that pulls the average way up and can kind of distort what you're doing. So you want to look at actually the median views for a set of recent videos. This could be, at the very least, the most 15 recent videos. Very often you want to look at the last 30 or the last 50 recent videos. It really depends on their frequency of posting. So once you have that median, you can then calculate the CPM. So in this case, the creator is asking for $1,000 for a reel. The median views they have are about 80,000. That CPM is roughly 1250. And as I'm establishing all these metrics, I want to put them back into my sheet and make sure I'm writing this down. And then to look at the outlier rate, I'm going to come over to this Chrome plugin I'm using on the right side called Profile Plus. It's a really great plugin. It's free. You can search Google or the Chrome store to find it. And this kind of just does some of the math quickly on the page of how this creator's videos have done performance-wise. And if you look here at the last 15 videos, they help us establish very quickly and easily what is the distribution of outcomes their videos have produced compared to their median. So you want to quickly see, hey, we have this median. Are most of their videos or some of their videos doing better than that median, which is the outlier rate? Are some or all of their videos doing worse than that median, which kind of establishes the floor and baseline? And you want to find creators that have a higher outlier rate. This means they have higher viral potential, means they go viral more often. Often it means they're kind of on an upswing on the algorithm as they're growing their audience and their community. And the important thing here is not this specific plugin. I think it is the underlying methodology and kind of understanding these three metrics. But this plugin is awesome to help you quickly calculate and see, just from a visual perspective, I'm going to log all that information back into the sheet. And I'll do this for each creator in our sheet that has shared the rates with us. This will give us a more full view of the entire marketplace of creators and the data associated with each. And then we can start to sort out, hey, this person has the best CPM. Hey, this creator has the best outlier rate. Here's what an average and median view count looks like in this niche. So I'm going to go through the rest of the creators and let's see what that looks like. So as we work through this exercise with each creator and fill out our sheet, we're starting to get market level intelligence on every creator you've spoken to. Now that we understand everybody's median view counts, their CPM, and their outlier rates, we could start to figure out, hey, who has the best CPM here? Where are the best opportunities given whatever budget or constraints we have? We can also sort by outlier rate. So in this case, I'm defining outlier rate as the amount of videos they had that did 3x their median. So in this case, we have a creator who did 50% of their videos, literally half their videos are doing 3x their median. That's insane and a real signal that the algorithm is loving this creator right now and maybe somebody we should tap into. You can also sort by cheapest CPM to most expensive to get a sense of the ranges of what the market looks like. And this is the data that will really help us start to narrow in on who the right creators are to work with. So data narrows the list, but taste makes the final call. While this quantitative data is super important in helping you understand which creators to work with, you still need to do the vibe check. You still need to watch the content. You still need to understand qualitatively which creators you should be working with. Based on this, pick 10 to 20 and get going. Step 6, brief them properly. So you've now picked your creators. Now let's set them up for success. So you previously shared a creative brief about your company. Now they need a content brief with more details on how to make their video. Content brief should include specific calls to action, key messages, assets they need. This comes after they've agreed and after you've done the contract. Here's mistake number 3, over-scripting. You hire these creators because they know their audience. You hand them a word-for-word script, you're throwing away their expertise. Give them constraints, the call to action, the key messages, things to avoid. Let them make it feel native to their style. The best creator content doesn't feel like an ad. That's the whole point. It feels like something they would have made anyway, but featuring your product. That said, always review the content before it goes live. This is not about trying to micromanage it. It's just about trying to catch anything that's off-brand before it's public. Step 7, track everything. Here's mistake number 4, and it's the one that makes most people give up entirely on this channel. So the videos go live, traffic might go up, and sales might even go up, but you can't actually connect any of the dots and understand which creators drove which outcomes. So you conclude, this probably doesn't work. Your tracking is the problem here. Here's the reality of attribution in creator marketing. There are a few things you can track directly and some things you can't. So what you can track directly, clicks on unique tracking links, conversions from those links, and then which creators drove site visits from those links. How these cohorts of users convert and stay retained over time is the key thing that you're looking for, and this is trackable. What you can't track directly, someone sees the video, doesn't click, they Google you later. Someone who sees 3 videos and then converts 3 weeks later, who actually gets the credit here? A general brand lift showing up as increased organic traffic. A lot of the value can be indirect, except that you won't have perfect attribution, but you can get close enough to make good decisions. So how to track? Make sure you use unique links for every creator with UTM parameters. Watch your overall funnel, and when a video goes viral, do you see a spike? Make sure to connect your data sources, Mixpanel, Stripe, GA, look at them together cohesively. And you could also ask how new customers found out about you. So here's what you're actually looking for when evaluating the data. Which creators consistently correlate with results? Which audiences retain better long-term? Two creators might drive the same installs, but have wildly different 30-day retention. This is what you want to look for. Step 8, double down on the winners. This is the whole point. This is why you did all of that work. You're going to find that 10 to 20% of creators will drive 90% of your outcomes. So for every 10 creators, actually getting 1 to 2 to hit is good. Those are your winners. You want to do more with them. Longer deals, more content, ongoing relationships. Apply what you learned to your next cohort, test new creators, find new winners, and then repeat. This is how you build a channel instead of running a campaign. Each cycle, your hit rate will improve. You learn what works for your audience. You feed those learnings back into the next cohort of creators that you work with. Section 3, scaling what works. Once you've found winners, here's how to scale. First, lock in your winners. When a creator performs, lock them into longer deals. Do not let them go work with your competitors. Move from one-off posts to ongoing relationships. Amplify with paid. Here's something most companies miss entirely. Set aside 10 to 20% of your budget for paid amplification. When a creator video performs well organically, put money behind it. Run it as an ad on TikTok, on Meta, on YouTube. You've already proven the content works. Now scale it. Creator content often outperforms traditional ad creative because it feels native. The flywheel. Creator videos become ad creative, data from ads inform which creators to work with, winners get longer term deals, new creators get tested alongside proven ones. Each cycle, hit rate improves. This is how you turn your campaign into a channel. It compounds. Section 4, realistic timeline. So here's what realistic results actually look like, because if your expectations are wrong, you'll quit too early. Month 1 is about learning. You're setting up infrastructure, you're running discovery, you're doing outreach, you're getting your first videos live, and you probably won't see super clear ROI yet. That's fine. You're gathering the data. Month 2 is about signal. Your first cohort results are coming in, you're seeing traffic, maybe a creator drove some conversions, but it hasn't made a massive impact on your revenue yet. You're starting to see which creators are performing well. The attribution picture starts to get a little bit clearer, and then you start launching your second and third cohort of creators. Month 3 is about compounding, doubling down on winners from cohort 1, launching cohorts 3, 4, 5, starting to see the flywheel work. This is when it starts to really feel like a channel and not a one-off campaign. If you go in expecting month 1 to be profitable, you'll probably quit. If you go in expecting to build a channel over 90 days, you'll find something that works better than your ads. Once you find creator videos that work, you don't have to make your own ads anymore. You just take the winners and run them as paid creative. No testing hundreds of hooks, no burning through creative every 2 weeks. The creators already figured out what resonates. Most companies will never do this because it looks like a lot of work, and it is. But the companies that run this process for 90 days and end up with a growth channel that competitors can't copy, real trust with customers, content that converts, and a system that gets cheaper over time instead of more expensive. So if you want to skip the 100 hours of finding creators and go straight to a dashboard with handpicked creators with negotiated rates, let's talk. Hit the link in description.